This is Tony T here from Tony'sPicks.com with a free college football pick show here for Saturday, October 12th. We'll have picks from all 46 games. For more free pick videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. And if you're looking for my best bets, my premium picks, click the link in the description to my page at Tony'sPicks.com. All right, let's get to the picks. Missouri and UMass college football pick for Saturday. Missouri fell to 4-1 after their 41-10 road defeat to Texas A&M. The Tigers gained 253 yards, 68 rushing for 3.3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 512 yards to the Aggies, 236 rushing for 6.6 yards a carry. Brady Cook here, 13-31 passing for 186 yards with a touchdown. UMass, they dropped to 1-5, a 34-20 road defeat to Northern Illinois. The Minutemen posted 378 yards, 115 rushing for 3.4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 402 yards to the Huskies, 367 rushing for 6.8 yards a carry. Tayson von Manachon, 15-30 passing for 263 yards with 2 touchdowns. First Power 4 school that UMass will face here. Missouri getting good offensive production with 4.9 yards per rush, accuracy at the quarterback position, and 6.8 yards per pass attempt. On defense, the Tigers are allowing 7.3 yards per pass attempt. UMass has experienced quarterback with the team completing 57% of their passes, 7.1 yards per pass attempt. Against a weak schedule, the Minutemen allowing 4.6 yards per rush, 7.2 yards per pass attempt. UMass 4-0 to the over at home, facing a team that averages 4.75 yards per rush or greater. Player will be Missouri and UMass to go over 53.5. All right, let's get you this Ball State and Kent State college football pick here for Saturday. We got Ball State 1-4 after a 45-42 home defeat to Western Michigan. Cardinals put up 297 yards, 68 rushing for 3.3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 461 yards to the Broncos, 264 passing on 29 attempts. Kane Simonza, 21-35 passing for 307 yards with 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. Kent 0-5 after their 52-33 home defeat to Eastern Michigan. The Golden Flashes put up 422 yards, 77 rushing for 2.3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 486 yards to the Eagles, 273 rushing for 5.5 yards a carry. Tommy Wilatowski here, 15-28 passing for 345 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick. He had a rushing touchdown. Both offensive showed some life in their conference games. You know, the Cardinals put up 42 at home to Western Michigan, 34 at Central Michigan in 2 high-scoring games. Kent, where did this come from? Highest scoring point total in their first MAC game here, 33 at home to EMU. Both defenses bad here. Ball State gave up 6.7 yards per carry on the ground, 74% completion rate, 10 yards per pass attempt. Looking at Kent here, giving up 6.1 yards a carry on the ground, 70% completion rate, 9.2 yards per pass attempt. Play will be Ball State and Kent to go over 57.5. All right, let's get you the pick here between Clemson and Wake Forest here for Saturday. Clemson sits at 4-1 after a 21-13 road win at Florida State. The Tigers gained 500 yards, 265 rushing for 6.6 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 250 yards to Seminoles, 22 rushing on 23 carries. Kate Klubnik here, 19-33 passing for 235 yards with 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 62 yards in the game. Wake Forest now 2-3, a 34-30 road win at NC State. Damon Deacons produced 315 yards, 161 rushing for 5.2 yards a carry. On defense, they gave 419 yards to the Wolfpack, 314 passing on 47 attempts. Hank Bachmeier here, 16-32 passing for 154 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Clemson defense allowing 4.9 yards a carry, but have been effective in pass defense. Wake Forest really struggling at home to Ole Miss, scoring 6 points. Even Deacons quarterback Bachmeier ineffective last week. Clemson 10-5 the under on the road. Play Clemson and Wake Forest to go under 60.5 points. All right, let's get to the pick between Toledo and Buffalo. College football pick Saturday. All right, Toledo 4-1 after their victory by 10 to Miami O. The Rockets gained 396 yards, 78 rushing for 4.1 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 350 yards. The Red Hawks, 54 rushing for 1.9 yards a carry, with Tucker Gleason going 27 of 38 passing for 318 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Buffalo, they're now 3-2. They get the win here, 47-3. They lose. They get pounded here, 47-3 at Connecticut, putting up 198 yards, just 75 rushing for 2.8 yards a carry. On defense, they gave 257 yards to the Huskies, 537 total, as we said, 5.6 yards a carry. CJ Agbana, 12 of 25 passing for 82 yards. The Bulls have a road win at Northern Illinois to open MAC play. The Bulls defense holds opponents at 4.2 yards a carry, 5.7 yards per pass attempt. Their lone FBS home game resulted in a 34-3 win at home to UMass. Toledo's rushing for only 3.4 yards a carry. They limit opponents at 2.8 yards a carry on the ground. They are allowing 255 yards passing, though, for 6.9 yards per pass attempt. The Rockets have a road defeat at Western Kentucky. They are 4-10 of the spread as road favorites here. Play Buffalo plus 8.5. All right, let's get to the pick here. Georgia Tech and North Carolina on Saturday here. Georgia Tech is now 4-2, a 24-14 home win to Duke. The Yellow Jackets gained 412 yards, 245 rushing, 5 yards a carry. On defense, they gave up 279 yards to the Blue Devils, 74 rushing for 3.7 yards a carry. Haynes King, 23 of 31 passing for 167 yards with 2 touchdowns. He did rush for 30 yards. North Carolina, they dropped to 3-3, a 34-24 home defeat to Pitt. Tar Heels posted 415 yards, 147 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. Defensively, they surrendered 520 yards to the Panthers, 381 passing on 42 attempts. To Colby Criswell, 24 of 45 passing for 269 yards with a touchdown. The Tar Heels offensively are rushing for 198 yards per game, 5.1 yards per carry. They do throw the football for 7.2 yards a carry. The team surrendering the defensive run well, but allow 8.4 yards per pass attempt. Georgia Tech rushes for 5 yards a carry. They are getting great play at quarterback. On defense, they limit teams to 3.3 yards a carry on the ground. 65% completion rate, though, for 7.7 yards per pass attempt. Now, Yellow Jackets have lost both of their road games. You have 31 points in both losses. The pass defense is really poor in those games. Give up an average of 281 yards passing, nearly 70% completion rate, 9.2 yards per pass attempt. Play North Carolina here, plus 6. All right, let's get to the pick here. UAB and Army for Saturday. UAB, they fall to 1-4, a 71-20 home defeat here to Tulane. The Blazers gained 305 yards, 75 rushing for 3.4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 497 yards to the Green Wave, 497 yards altogether. 317 rushing for 6.3 yards a carry. Jacob Zeno missed the game due to a shoulder injury, questionable here. Jalen Kitna, 20 of 41 passing for 239 yards with a touchdown, but 3 picks. Army 5-0, 49-7 road win at Tulsa. The Black Knights put up 481 yards, 321 rushing for 8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 261 yards to the Golden Hurricane, 109 passing on 30 attempts. Bryson Daly here, 5 of 5 passing for 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 110 yards and 2 scores in the game. Quarterback situation for UAB, really dire. So is their defense. The Blazers allowed 5.2 yards per rush, 7.8 yards per pass attempt. Back-to-back home blowout losses to Navy by 23, Tulane by 51. Army's rushing for 6 yards a carry, averaging 8.5 yards per pass attempt. The Black Knights defend the pass effectively, allowing 5.8 yards per pass attempt. UAB will struggle with their backup quarterback here to score in this game. Army will run, and that takes time off the clock. Play UAB and Army under 56.5. All right, we got Wisconsin and Rutgers here for Saturday's action. Wisconsin now 3-2, a 52-6 home win to Purdue. The Badgers gained 589 yards, 228 rushing for 5.5 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Boilermakers to 216 yards, 117 passing on 22 attempts. Brendan Locke here, 20 of 31 passing for 359 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. Rutgers 4-1, a 14-7 road defeat in Nebraska. The Scarlet Knights put up 264 yards, 78 rushing for 2.4 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 261 yards to the Cornhuskers, 97 rushing, 2.3 yards a carry. Ethan Kalakmanis, 15 of 37 passing for 186 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. Wisconsin rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. Now get inaccurate play at quarterback, just 50% completion rate, 6.9 yards per pass attempt. Of course, they got the backup in there due to the injury to Van Dyke. On defense, they're allowing 4.4 yards per run, 67% completion rate allowed here. Rutgers has shown better offensive performance this year, 5 yards per rush, 7.1 yards per pass attempt. On defense, giving up 5.1 yards a carry, but only 5.8 yards per pass attempt. Wisconsin 0-3 to the spread on the road, facing teams that allow 17 or fewer points per game. Rutgers 7-2 to the spread as a home favorite. Play Rutgers minus 2.5 in this one. South Carolina and Alabama college football pick Saturday. South Carolina falls to 3-2, a 27-3 home defeat to Ole Miss. The Gamecocks gained 313 yards, 151 yards rushing for 3.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 425 yards to the Rebels, 285 passing on 27 attempts. It was Norris Sellers here, 20 of 32 passing for 162 yards with a pick. He rushed for 55 yards. Now Alabama falls to 4-1, a 40-35 road defeat at Vandy. Crimson Tide put up 394 yards, 84 rushing for 4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 418 yards to the Commodores, 52 passing on 21 attempts. Jalen Monroe, 18 of 24 passing for 310 yards with a touchdown and pick. Alabama putting up tremendous numbers offensively, 5.5 yards per rush along with 72% completion rate, 11.1 yards per pass attempt. They do limit opponents to 3.3 yards a carry on the ground, 5.8 yards per pass attempt. South Carolina rushes for 4.1 yards a carry. The Gamecocks' offensive performance last week were really a concern, especially with Alabama coming off a loss. South Carolina 0-3 to the spread on the road, facing teams that average 425 yards per game or greater. Alabama 6-1 to the spread at home against winning teams. Pay Alabama here at minus the 21. All right, Washington and Iowa college football pick. This one here on Saturday. All right, let's get to the game here. In this one, Washington improved to 4-2, a 27-17 home win to Michigan. The Huskies gained 429 yards, 114 rushing for 3.3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 287 yards to the Wolverines, 113 passing on 25 attempts. Will Rogers here, 21 of 31 passing for 271 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Iowa fell to 3-2, a 35-7 road defeat to Ohio State. The Hawkeyes put up 226 yards, 116 rushing for 4.3 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 412 yards to the Buckeyes, 203 rushing for 5 yards a carry. Cade McNamara here, 14 of 20 passing for 98 yards and a pick. Washington rushing for 5 yards a carry and getting accurate and efficient quarterback play. The defense has performed well, giving up 3.9 yards a carry, only 4.5 yards per pass attempt. Iowa, they run the ball effectively, 5.7 yards a carry, but not very efficient with their passing game. Defense is still good there, giving up 3.2 yards a carry, just 6.9 yards per pass attempt. But the Huskies in their lone road game was held to 18 points at a defensive-minded Rutgers team. They had that loss to Washington State in that neutral site game. In that loss against Rutgers, Huskies allowed over 5 yards a carry on the ground. Travel has been tough for these teams from the Pac-12 going out east. Same thing the other way. Teams coming the other way out west. So we're going to go ahead and take Iowa here at the minus 2.5. All right, next up, Miami, Ohio, and Eastern Michigan. Miami, Ohio fell to 1-4 after their 30-20 road defeat to Toledo. The Red Hawks gained 350 yards, 54 rushing for 2.3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 306 yards to the Rockets here, 318 passing on 39 attempts. Brett Gabbert here, 23 of 46 passing for 296 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Eastern Michigan now 4-1, a 52-33 road win in Kent. The Eagles posted 486 yards, 273 rushing for 5.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 422 yards to Golden Flashes, 345 passing on 28 attempts. Cole Snyder here, 26 of 33 passing for 213 yards with a touchdown. He rushed for 53 yards and a touchdown. Miami, Ohio struggles with their ground attack, 3.1 yards a carry. They have not been accurate at quarterback and averaged at 6.4 yards per pass attempt. The defense has given up 5 yards a carry along with 6.7 yards per pass attempt. Eastern Michigan here running for only 3.5 yards a carry, but have been accurate and efficient with their passing game. They stop the run but give up big plays in the passing game by allowing 66% completion rate, 8.5 yards per pass attempt. EMU allowed 33 at Kent, 34 at home to Jacksonville State. Play here will be on Miami, Ohio, and Eastern Michigan over 45.5. California and Pittsburgh college football pick here for Saturday. Cal drops to 3-2 after a 39-38 home defeat to Miami. Golden Bears gained 370 yards, 73 rushing for 2.9 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 575 yards to the Hurricanes, 437 passing on 53 attempts. Fernando Mendoza, 11 of 22 passing for 285 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Pittsburgh now 5-0, a 34-24 road win at North Carolina. The Panthers posted 520 yards, 139 rushing for 4 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 416 yards to the Tar Heels, 269 passing on 45 attempts. Eli Holstein, 25 of 42 passing for 381 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Tough spot for Cal after blowing that 20-point home lead in the final 10 minutes last week in a very high-profile game. Game day was there, big turnout, tough flight as well coming up here for Cal. Golden Bears have struggled running the football, 3.9 yards a carry. That's why they couldn't put away Pitt, right? They can't run the football. That's what you got to do to milk clock in those spots when you're up 20. Pitt has been outstanding offensive numbers, 5.9 yards per rush, 65% completion rate, 8.9 yards per pass attempt. The Panthers holding teams at 3.1 yards per rush along with 56% completion rate. Again, it's the third long road trip the past month for Cal. Remember, they had long trips at Florida State, long trips at Auburn. We'll take Pitt here at -3. Next up, Northern Illinois and Bowling Green college football pick. Here for Saturday, Northern Illinois improved to 3-2. With their 34-20 home win to UMass. The Huskies put up 402 yards, 367 rushing for 6.8 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 378 yards to the Minutemen, 263 passing on 30 attempts. Ethan Hampton here, 5-9 passing for 34 yards with a touchdown and pick. He rushed for 64 yards and a touchdown. Bowling Green now 2-3. A 27-20 road win at Akron. The Falcons put up 375 yards, 117 rushing for 3.3 yards a carry. Defensively, they held the Zips at 321 yards, 206 passing on 32 attempts. Connor Bazelak connected on 24 of 30 for 268. Bowling Green's offense rushing for 4.9 yards a carry, and they've been effective in the passing game. 68% completion rate, 7.5 yards per pass attempt. But on defense, they're allowing 5.3 yards a carry along with 7.2 yards per pass attempt. NIU running for 5 yards a carry, 7.5 yards per pass attempt. They defend the run, holding foes to 3.1 yards a carry, only 6.6 yards per pass attempt. Northern Illinois is 9-1 of the spread as an underdog. Bowling Green has not been able to draw distance on Akron and Old Dominion in recent games. Play Northern Illinois here plus the 3. Akron and Western Michigan college football pick Saturday. Akron fell to 1-5, a 27-20 home defeat to Bowling Green. The Zips gained 321 yards, 115 rushing for 5.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 385 yards with 268 yards passing on 30 attempts. Ben Finley here, 21-32 passing for 206 yards. Western Michigan 2-3, a 45-42 road win at Ball State. The Broncos put up 461 yards, 197 rushing for 5 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 397 yards to the Cardinals, 329 passing on 35 attempts. Aiden Wolf here, 26 of 29 passing for 264 yards with 3 touchdowns. Zips are a poor offensive team that averages 2.5 yards per rush, 5.6 yards per pass attempt. On defense, they're giving up nearly 5 yards a carry with 66% completion rate for 8.5 yards per pass attempt. Western Michigan is an efficient offensive team, rushing for 5 yards a carry, completing 67% of their passes, and average 8 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, they're giving up 4.5 yards a carry, 8.4 yards per pass attempt. The Zips only win against an FBS team here, so they have not beaten any FBS. I should say their only win came against an FCS team, so they haven't beaten any FBS teams. Player will be Western Michigan, -9.5. Louisville and Virginia college football pick Saturday. Louisville drops to 3-2, a 34-27 home defeat to SMU. The Cardinals put up 461 yards, 132 rushing for about 4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 481 yards to the Mustangs, 291 passing on 28 attempts. Tyler Shaw here, 22 of 35 passing for 329 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Virginia now 4-1. A 24-14 home win to Boston College. The Cavaliers gained 339 yards, 121 rushing for 3.3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 319 yards to the Eagles, 254 passing on 30 attempts. Anthony Colandrea, 15 of 26 passing for 179 yards with a touchdown. Cardinals are putting up good offensive numbers, 5.8 yards a carry, 66% completion rate, 9.3 yards per pass attempt. They defend well by surrendering 67% completions for 7.4 yards per pass attempt. The Cavs run effectively, 4.8 yards a carry, and are efficient passing team, 66% completions, 8.1 yards per pass attempt. They stop the run, giving up 3.4 yards a carry, and allow 7.8 yards per pass attempt. Louisville 1-8 to the spread as a road favorite. Virginia's 4-1 to the spread at home against winning teams. 2 straight losses for the Cardinals. Play here will be Virginia plus the 7.5. Old Dominion and Georgia State college football pick Saturday. Old Dominion fell to 1-4, a 45-37 road defeat to Coastal Carolina. The Monarchs gained 462 yards, 200 rushing for 5.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 515 yards to Chanticleers, 367 passing on 26 attempts. Grant Wilson missed last week's game with an injury, questionable here. Colton Joseph, 22 of 40 for 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. He rushed for 68 yards and a touchdown. Georgia State now 2-2, a 38-21 home defeat to Georgia Southern. The Panthers put up 385 yards, 29 rushing on 15 carries. On defense, they allowed 498 yards to the Eagles, 261 rushing for 5.4 yards a carry. Christian Velo, 23 of 45 passing for 356 yards with 2 touchdowns and 3 picks. Old Dominion rushes for 4.2 yards a carry, but has had issues at the quarterback position. The team completes 53% of their passes for only 5.2 yards per pass attempt. On defense, they hold opponents to 3.9 yards a carry, but surrender 7 yards per pass attempt. Georgia State runs for 4.3 yards a carry, throws for 6.8 yards per attempt. On defense, they allow 4.8 yards per run, 8 yards per pass attempt. Georgia State has won 2 of 3 with a notable home win to Vanderbilt. ODU plays their 3rd straight road game with their defense struggling in their past 3. Play Georgia State here, -1.5. Cincinnati and UCF college football pick Saturday. Cincinnati fell to 3-2, a 44-41 road defeat to Texas Tech. Bearcats put up 555 yards, 129 rushing for 3.9 yards a carry. Defensively, they surrendered 482 yards to the Red Raiders, 231 rushing for 6.5 yards a carry. Brendan Sorsby here, 31 of 45 passing for 426 yards with 4 touchdowns and a pick. He rushed for 52 yards. UCF drops to 3-2. A 24-13 road defeat to Florida. The Knights gained 273 yards, 108 rushing for 2.7 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 359 yards to the Gators, 229 passing on 28 attempts. KJ Jefferson here, 12 of 22 passing for 164 yards with a pick. Cincinnati's put up good offensive numbers, 5.5 yards per rush, 66% completion rate, 9 yards per pass attempt. The Bearcats defense poor here, allowing 5 yards per rush, 7.5 yards per pass attempt. UCF offensively rushes for 5.7 yards a carry, averages 8.8 yards per pass attempt. The Knights defend the run well, but struggle against the pass. Cincinnati 0-5 the spread on the road against the winning team. Play UCF here, -3. Purdue and Illinois college football pick. Here we go for Saturday's action. All right, Purdue, they fell here to 1-4, a 52-6 road defeat to Wisconsin. The Boilermakers gained 216 yards, 99 rushing for under 4 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 589 yards to the Badgers, 361 passing on 32 attempts. Hudson Card here, 11 of 21 passing for 111 yards. Illinois drops to 4-1 after a 21-7 road defeat to Penn State. The final Illini gained 219 yards, 34 rushing on 32 attempts. Defensively, they allowed 394 yards to the Nittany Lions, 239 rushing for 5.5 yards a carry. Luke Altmaier, 16 of 25 passing for 185 yards with a touchdown and pick. Purdue rushes for 5 yards a carry and completes 63% of their passes for 6.6 yards per attempt. The Boilermakers defense has been very poor, allowing 240 yards rushing, 5.5 yards a carry, 8.7 yards per pass attempt. Surprisingly here, Illinois is running for just 3.8 yards a carry. Usually a strong running team, but they're led by a strong passing game this year. They're completing 69% of their passes, 8 yards per pass attempt. The final Illini has defended well, holding foes to 4 yards per rush, 59% completion rate. Purdue's been blown out in 4 straight games, failing to cover each of them. Play here will be Illinois -19. San Jose State and Colorado college football pick. Here we go for Saturday. San Jose State improved to 4-1, a 35-31 home win to Nevada. The Spartans put up 441 yards, 114 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 416 yards to the Wolfpack, 190 rushing for 5.3 yards a carry. Emmett Brown here, 12 of 28 passing for 170 yards with 2 touchdowns. Colorado State falls to 2-3. A 39-31 road defeat to Oregon State. The Rams got 439 yards, 176 rushing for 4.5 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 398 yards to the Beavers, 251 rushing for 5.3 yards a carry. Brain Fowler Nicolosi, 20 of 30 passing for 263 yards with 2 touchdowns. Spartans rushed for 3 yards a carry. They are passing for 329 yards per game, 8.1 yards per pass attempt. San Jose State defends well, holds teams to 3.8 yards a carry, only 56% completion rate for 6 yards per pass attempt. Colorado State has run the football well, 4.8 yards a carry, but inefficient in their passing game. They struggle defending the pass, giving up 65% completions, 7.2 yards per pass attempt. Only wins by the Rams came against an FCS team, and they beat UTEP at home. San Jose State played Washington State tough on the road, a 2-point overtime loss. Play San Jose State here, -1. But Stanford and Notre Dame college football pick here for action on Saturday. Stanford fell to 2-3 after their 31-7 home defeat to Virginia Tech. The Cardinals put up 257 yards, 136 rushing for 4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 337 yards to the Hokies, 201 passing on 19 attempts. Justin Lamson, 13 of 24 passing for 103 yards with a pick. He rushed for 19 times for 36 yards. Lamson plays instead of the ineffective Ashton Daniels. Notre Dame now 4-1. A 31-24 home win to Louisville. The Fighting Irish produced 280 yards, 117 rushing for 3.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 395 yards to the Cardinals, 264 passing on 41 attempts. Riley Leonard here goes 17 of 23 passing, 463 yards with 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 52 yards and a touchdown. Stanford rushing for 4.3 yards a carry. They do stop the run, giving up 3.4 yards per rush. Notre Dame did not do much in their downfield passing game, averaging 6.2 yards per pass attempt. They do allow 3.9 yards per rush. Notre Dame 5-7 the spread as a home favorite. Player will be Stanford here, plus 24. Texas and Oklahoma college football pick. Here we go for Saturday. All right, it's the big rivalry game here. Game played in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl. Texas improved to 5-0 after the 35-13 home win in Mississippi State. The Longhorns gained 523 yards, 198 rushing for 6.4 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Bulldogs at 294 yards, 150 rushing for 3 yards a carry. Quinn Ewers has practiced leaning toward playing after his ab injury. In 3 games, he's hitting 73% of his passes, 8.7 yards per pass attempt. Oklahoma 4-1, a 27-21 road win at Auburn. The Sooners put up 291 yards, 130 rushing for 4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 482 yards to the Tigers with 338 passing on 32 attempts. Michael Hawkins here, 10 of 15 passes for 161 yards. He rushed for 69 yards and a touchdown. Oklahoma is rushing for 3.7 yards a carry, 6 yards per pass attempt. The Sooners hold opponents at 2.6 yards per rush, but 7.9 yards per pass attempt. Texas is putting up outstanding numbers on both sides of the football. The quarterback change was a positive for the Sooners as Hawkins took care of the football and was accurate in a road SEC spot. Ewers' health a concern for the Texas in this rivalry game. It's tough to lay, over 2 touchdowns here. Play Oklahoma plus 14.5. All right, San Diego State and Wyoming college football pick. Here we go for Saturday. San Diego State improves to 2-3 after a 27-24 home win to Hawaii. The Aztecs gained at 323 yards, 99 rushing for 2.9 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 356 yards to the Warriors, 272 passing on 44 attempts. Daniel O'Neal here, 24-33 passing for 224 yards with a touchdown. Wyoming 1-4, a 31-19 home win to Air Force. Cowboys put up 361 yards, 173 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. Defensively, they held the Falcons to 320 yards, 205 rushing for 4.5 yards a carry. Evan Svoboda, 15-21 passing for 165 yards. He rushed for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. San Diego State is running for only 2.9 yards a carry and getting inaccurate quarterback play. The Aztecs defense allows 5.1 yards per rush and gives up 248 yards passing for 6.6 yards per pass attempt. They are allowing 463 yards a game. Wyoming struggles offensively. On defense, they allow 4.8 yards a carry with 63% completion rate. San Diego State has lost both road games, including a 1-point loss to a MAC school in Central Michigan. The Cowboys 6-2 to the spread as a home underdog. Play Wyoming plus 2.5. Penn State and USC college football pick. Here we go. Saturday, big one here. Penn State improved to 5-0, a 27-11 home win to UCLA. Nittany Lions gained 312 yards, 85 rushing for 2.8 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Bruins to 260 yards with 167 passing on 30 attempts. Drouillard, 17-24 passing for 237 yards with a touchdown, and he also had a rushing touchdown in there. USC fell to 3-2, a 24-17 road defeat in Minnesota. The Trojans gained 373 yards, 173 rushing for 6.2 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 362 yards to the Golden Gophers, 193 rushing for 4.8 yards a carry. Miller Moss here, 23-38 passing for 200 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. these Big Ten teams with long travel here in conference are having issues winning. About the lone exception was Indiana when they traveled to UCLA. Penn State putting up great numbers on both sides of the field. USC running for 5.2 yards a carry and averaging 64% completion rate, nearly 7 yards per pass attempt. The defense allowing 5 yards per run, 67% completions for only 6.5 yards per pass attempt. The Trojans played well at home. Penn State's first road game since August 31st. Play here will be USC here at plus 5.5. Memphis and USF college football pick. This one here on Saturday. Memphis improved to 4-1, a 24-7 home win at Middle Tennessee State. The Tigers put up 413 yards, 186 rushing for 5.8 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 312 yards to the Blue Raiders, 283 passing on 31 attempts. Seth Hennigan, 26-41 passing for 227 yards. USF fell at 2-4. A 45-10 road defeat to Tulane. The Bulls gained 211 yards, 26 rushing on 25 carries. On defense, they allowed 528 yards to the Green Wave, 330 passing on 23 attempts. Myron Brown here, 12-18 passing for 134 yards and had a rushing touchdown. He is questionable with a foot injury and was wearing a boot after the game. Bryce Archie in relief, 4 of 10 passing for 41 yards. Memphis offense rushing for over 5 yards a carry, completing 64% of their passes for 6.9 yards per pass attempt. They defend the run well and allow 7.5 yards per pass attempt. USF rushes for 4.5 yards a carry. They're getting poor play at the quarterback position, just 57% completion rate, 5.9 yards per pass attempt. Issue with the Bulls in their pass defense where they allowed 290 yards, 64% completion rate, 9.7 yards per pass attempt. The Tigers have experience at the quarterback position with Hennigan. Big difference in effectiveness at the quarterback position as well. Play Memphis here -7. All right, Ohio and Central Michigan college football pick. This one here on Saturday. Ohio here improved to 3-2 after the 30-10 home win to Akron. The Bulls produced 440 yards, 236 rushing for 4.6 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Zips to 214 yards, 18 rushing on 20 carries. Parker Navarro here, 12 of 18 passing for 204 yards, 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 113 yards and a touchdown. Central Michigan sits at 3-2, a 22-21 home win to San Diego State. The Chippewas put up 452 yards, 154 rushing for 3.7 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 264 yards to the Aztecs, 246 passing on 23 attempts. Joe Labas here, 24 of 43 passing for 275 yards with a touchdown and pick. Ohio rushing for 4.8 yards a carry and throwing for 7.8 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, they limit foes to 3.3 yards a carry with 7 yards per pass attempt. Central Michigan has put up good numbers as they run for 5.5 yards a carry, throw for 245 yards a game, 7.3 yards per pass attempt. They do limit opponents to 4 yards a carry on the ground with 7.4 yards per pass attempt. The Bobcats have played 2 Power 4 teams on the road, suffering blowout losses with poor offensive performance. CMU's offensive play is encouraging here. Play Central Michigan here at +3. Arizona and BYU college football pick for Saturday. Arizona fell at 3-2 after their 28-22 home defeat to Texas Tech. The Wildcats gained 422 yards, 121 rushing for 4 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 334 yards to the Red Raiders, 117 rushing for 4 yards a carry. Noah Fafita here, 28 of 49 passing for 301 yards, 2 interceptions. BYU 5-0 after a 34-28 road win at Baylor. The Cougars produced 367 yards, 119 rushing for 4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 387 yards to the Bears, 324 passing on 48 attempts. Jake Resloff, 17 of 31 passing for 216 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. He rushed for 53 yards and a touchdown. Arizona's rushing for 5.5 yards a carry. Passing game has underperformed with 61% completion rate, 6.4 yards per pass attempt. They hold opponents to 4.4 yards a carry with 56% completion rate, 6.4 yards per pass attempt. BYU is running for 4 yards a carry, but producing better in their passing game with 8.2 yards per pass attempt. Cougars' defense just been outstanding this year. 3.7 yards a carry, 51% completions allowed, 5 yards per pass attempt. Must respect the Wildcats win at Utah, but man, BYU is just defending very well right now. Their 38-9 home win to Kansas State is impressive. Arizona has lost both games to the established Big 12 teams in Texas Tech and Kansas State. BYU 4-1 to the spread at home against the conference play. BYU here minus the 5. Mississippi State and Georgia college football pick. Saturday, Mississippi State fell to 1-4. A 35-13 road defeat to Texas. The Bulldogs put up 294 yards, 150 rushing for 3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 522 yards to Longhorns, 324 passing on 31 attempts. Mitchell Van Buren here, 12-23 passing for 144 yards. Georgia now 4-1. A 31-13 home win to Auburn. The Bulldogs posted at 381 yards, 141 rushing for 3.8 yards a carry. Carson Beck here, 23-29 passing for 240 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mississippi State is rushing for only 3.6 yards a carry, but can move the ball through the air. 63% completions, 8.3 yards per pass attempt. They are a poor defensive team that allows 5.3 yards a carry, 74% completion rate, 7.8 yards per pass attempt. Georgia offensively is running for 4.6 yards a carry, 67% completion rate, 8.4 yards per pass attempt. On defense, they allow 3.8 yards per rush, 64% completions, 6.8 yards per pass attempt. Mississippi State 9-2 to the under on the road. They were only able to score 13 points at Texas, 6-17 at home to Toledo. Georgia 8-0 to the under at home, coming off a blowout win by 17 or greater points. Play here will be Mississippi State and Georgia under 53.5. Southern Miss and UL Monroe college football pick Saturday. Southern Miss drops to 1-4, a 23-13 loss to Louisiana. The Golden Eagles produced 177 yards, 37 rushing on 19 carries. On defense, they allowed 410 yards to the Green Cajuns, 222 passing yards on 29 attempts. Tate Rodemaker, 15-21 passing for 140 yards. UL Monroe improved to 4-1, a 21-19 home win to James Madison. The Warhawks gained at 257 yards, 110 rushing for 3.7 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 399 yards to the Dukes with 148 rushing for 4.4 yards a carry. Aiden Armenta here, 17-30 passing for 147 yards with a touchdown pick. Golden Eagles rushing for 3 yards a carry. They complete 60% of their passes, about 8 yards per pass attempt. On defense, they're allowing 5.3 yards a carry, 66% completion rate, 7.3 yards per pass attempt. UL Monroe has shaky offensive numbers with 3.9 yards a carry. Inefficient passing game. Defensively, they're giving up 4.2 yards a carry, 59% completions for 6.5 yards per pass attempt. UL Monroe defensively at home against FBS teams have been outstanding, allowing 19 to James Madison, 6 to the UAB. Southern Miss has been poor on the road. 31-zip loss at Kentucky, 44-7 loss at Jacksonville State. Play UL Monroe minus 6.5. Florida and Tennessee college football pick Saturday. Florida improved to 3-2, a 24-13 home win to UCF. The Gators gained 359 yards, 130 rushing for 4 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Knights at 273 yards, 108 rushing for 2.7 yards a carry. Graham Hurts 19-23 passing for 179 yards and a touchdown. Tennessee drops here to 4-1, a 19-14 road defeat to Arkansas. Volunteers put up 334 yards, 176 rushing for 4.9 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 434 yards to the Razorbacks, 297 passing on 30 attempts. Nico Yamalava, 16-28 passing for 156 yards. Florida is moving the football for 4.6 yards per rush, 72% completion rate, 9.7 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, they are allowing 4 yards per rush. 64% completions, 7.8 yards per pass attempt. Volunteers offense rushing for 5.7 yards a carry, 67% completion rate, 8.9 yards per pass attempt. Their defense smothers teams, allowing 1.9 yards a carry, 6.3 yards per pass attempt. Florida, against tough competition, was defeated at home by Texas A&M by 13, at home to Miami by 24. Tennessee 11-3 of the spread at home. Play here will be on Tennessee minus the 15.5. North Texas and FAU college football pick. This one is on Saturday. North Texas 4-1 after a 52-20 home win to Tulsa. The Mean Green put up 618 yards, 179 rushing for 6.9 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 415 yards to the Golden Hurricane, 186 passing on 44 attempts. Chandler Morris here, 22 of 34 passing for 439 yards with 5 touchdowns. FAU now 2-3, a 41-10 home win to FCS Wagner. The prior week, it was a 48-14 road defeat at UConn. The Owls gained 250 yards, 163 rushing for 6.3 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 542 yards to the Huskies, 421 rushing for 6.4 yards a carry. Cam Franchner here, 9 of 15 passing for 87 yards and a pick. North Texas has been outstanding offensive numbers here with 5.2 yards per rush, 66% completion rate, 9 yards per pass attempt. On defense, they allow 4.2 yards a carry, only 54% completions for 6.8 yards per attempt. FAU's rushing for 4.8, nearly 5 yards a carry, but not an efficient passing team. They defend the pass well, but giving up 222 yards rushing for over 5 yards a carry. FAU has recent blowout losses at UConn and home to Army. Offensive production was poor in those games. Mean Green 6-3 to the spread at home against the conference. FAU 5-9 to the spread at home. Play here will be on North Texas minus 6.5. All right, it's UTSA and Rice college football pick. Here we go, Saturday. UTSA fell to 2-3, a 30-20 road defeat to East Carolina. The Roadrunners put up 456 yards, 170 rushing for 4.5 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 341 yards to the Pirates with 294 passing yards on 35 attempts. It was Owen McCown here, 24 of 49 passing for 251 yards with a touchdown and 2 picks. Rice 1-4. A 21-20 home defeat to Charlotte. The Owls gained 463 yards, 209 rushing, 6.7 yards on the per carry on the ground. Defensively, they allowed 304 yards to the 49ers, 237 passing on 36 attempts. E.J. Warner now 22 of 40 in the game, 254 yards and 2 touchdowns. UTSA is not as productive offensively as they were with Frank Harris at quarterback. The team runs here for 3.9 yards a carry, averaging just 6.4 yards per pass attempt. On defense, they defend the run well, but giving up 272 yards passing per game, 9.2 yards per pass attempt. Rice run the ball really well, 6 yards a carry, inefficient with their passing game. On defense, they do hold teams to 3.9 yards a carry, just 56% completion rate, 6.7 yards per pass attempt. It's UTSA's really performing poorly in the road games, double-digit losses in all 3 games. Owls 5-1, the spread is home underdog. Play Rice plus 5.5. Air Force and New Mexico college football pick Saturday. Air Force now 1-4, a 34-7 home defeat to Navy. The Falcons gained 273 yards, 158 rushing for 3.3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 463 yards to the midshipmen, 329 rushing for 6.7 yards a carry. John Busha went 0 of 2 passing. He rushed for 13 yards in the game. New Mexico now 1-4, a 50-40 road win at New Mexico State. The Lobos topped 380 yards, 331 rushing for 6.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 474 yards to the Aggies, 285 rushing for 8 yards a carry. Devin Dampier here, 13-28 passing for 248 yards. He rushed for 70 yards and 3 touchdowns. Air Force rushes for only 3.6 yards per game and is ineffective with their passing game. The Falcons are allowing 5 yards per rush, 64% completions, 9 yards per pass attempt. Mexico rushing for 6 yards a carry, 57% completions, 5.7 yards per pass attempt. The Lobos defense giving up 6 yards a carry, 8.6 yards per pass attempt. Mexico's only win came against the down Mexico State team. The rush defense a major concern here. Play Air Force plus 6.5. Washington State and the Fresno State. I like to call them the Fresno State. College football pick here for Saturday. Washington State drops a 4-1, a 45-24 road defeat to Boise State. The Cougars put up 416 yards in the game, 89 rushing for 2.3 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 460 yards to the Broncos, 276 rushing for 7.7 yards a carry. John Mateer, 26 of 37 passing for 327 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Fresno State now 3-2, a 59-14 road defeat at UNLV. The Bulldogs gain 346 yards, 30 rushing on 31 attempts. Defensively, they allowed 450 yards to the Rebels, 252 rushing for 6.5 yards a carry. Mikey Keene here, 27 of 41 passing for 316 yards with a touchdown and pick. Washington has put up great offensive numbers, 5.2 yards per rush, 9.3 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, they're struggling by giving up 5.4 yards per rush, 62% completion rate for 292 yards, and 7.1 yards per pass attempt. Fresno State rushes for only 3.3 yards a carry. They are an efficient passing team that converts 66% of their passes, 8 yards per pass attempt. Defense giving up 4.6 yards a carry and defend the pass well by allowing 56% completions, 6.1 yards per pass attempt. Fresno State has played well at home. Washington State's defense has struggled the past 2 games, gave up a total of 97 points. The Cougars are 0-4 the spread on the road, facing winning teams that have a 600 to 750 win percentage. Play Fresno State here plus 3.5. All right, Arkansas State and Texas State college football pick for Saturday. Arkansas State sits in 3-2 with their 18-16 home win to South Alabama. The Red Wolves put up 411 yards, 66 rushing for 2.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 453 yards to the Jaguars, 292 passing on 36 attempts. Jalen Raynor here, 30 of 39 passing for 345 yards and a touchdown. Texas State now 3-2, a 38-17 road win at Troy. The Bobcats gained 467 yards, 215 rushing for 5.5 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 331 yards to the Trojans, 268 passing on 32 attempts. Jordan McLeod here, 20 of 29 passing for 252 yards with 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. He rushed for 72 yards and a touchdown. Arkansas State is getting poor offensive production, 2.8 yards per rush, 59% completion rate. On defense, they're surrendering 5.8 yards per rush, 7.8 yards per pass attempt. Texas State is a good offensive team that rushes for 4.7 yards a carry, completes 69% of their passes, 8 yards per pass attempt. Arkansas State is 6-2 the under on the road in conference. The play will be Arkansas State and Texas State under 64.5. Ole Miss and LSU college football pick for Saturday. Ole Miss improved to 5-1 after their 27-3 road win here at South Carolina. The Rebels gained 425 yards, 140 rushing for 3.4 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 313 yards to the Gamecocks, 151 rushing for 3.5 yards a carry. It was Jackson Dart, 14 of 27 passing for 285 yards. He rushed for 44 yards. LSU now 4-1, a 42-10 home win to South Alabama. The Tigers produced 667 yards, 237 rushing for 8.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 333 yards to the Jaguars, 110 rushing for 3.4 yards a carry. Garrett Newsmeyer, 26 of 39 passing for 409 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 picks, 2 rushing touchdowns in there as well. Ole Miss, impressive offensive and defensive numbers this season. They run for 5.5 yards a carry, average 11.4 yards per pass attempt. The Rebels hold their opponents at 1.9 yards per rush, 5.8 yards per pass attempt. LSU is running for 5 yards a carry, 70% completion rate, 8.3 yards per pass attempt. They defend the run, but have been poor pass defenders. This is the best offense the Rebels have faced. Tough spot laying points at LSU at night there in the spot. Ole Miss 0-4 the spread on the road, facing a good offensive team that averages 425 yards per game or greater. LSU 6-0 to the spread in consecutive home games. Play here will be on LSU +3. All right, next up is App State and Louisiana. College football pick here for Saturday. App State fell to 2-3. A 52-37 road defeat to Marshall. The Mountaineers put up 473 yards, 180 rushing for 4.5 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 365 yards to the Mountaineers, 236 rushing for 6 yards a carry. Braylon Braxton, 8 of 14 passing for 129 yards and 3 touchdowns. He rushed for 140 yards and 2 scores. Louisiana improved to 4-1. A 23-13 road win at Southern Miss. The Raging Cajuns gained 410 yards, 188 rushing for 4.1 yards a carry. Defensively, they held the Golden Eagles to 177 yards, 37 rushing for 19 carries. Ben Wardridge here, 22 of 30 passing for 222 yards and a touchdown. Mountaineers are rushing for 4.4 yards a carry, throwing for 304 yards per game with 7.2 yards per pass attempt. They defend poorly by allowing nearly 6 yards per run, 68% completion rate, 8.7 yards per pass attempt. Louisiana, a really good offensive team here, running for over 5.5 yards a carry, 70% completion rate, 8.4 yards per pass attempt. On defense, holding teams at 4.6 yards a carry and just 6.4 yards per pass attempt. App State has allowed 48 points or greater in 3 of their past 4 games. Play Louisiana -9.5. All right, next up here, Ohio State and Oregon. College football pick Saturday. Ohio State now 5-0, a 35-7 home win to Iowa. The Buckeyes gained 412 yards, 203 rushing for 5.1 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Hawkeyes to 224 yards, 110 passing on 21 attempts. Will Howard here, 21-25 passing for 209 yards with 4 touchdowns and a pick. He had a rushing touchdown in the game. Oregon 5-0, a 31-10 home win to Michigan State. The Ducks gained 477 yards, 213 rushing for 5.8 yards a carry. Defensively, they held the Spartans to 240 yards, 59 rushing for 2 yards per rush. Dylan Gabriel here, 20 of 32 passing for 257 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. Long travel has been tough for these Big Ten teams this season in conference. The Buckeyes have great offensive numbers here, about 6.5 yards a carry on the ground, 70% completion rate, 9.3 yards per pass step. They hold opponents to just 2.5 yards a carry, 5.5 yards per pass step. Oregon, they're a team that runs the ball well, almost 5 yards a carry. They're getting accurate and efficient play as well. Quarterback, on defense, they hold teams to 3.8 yards a carry, 5.5 yards per pass attempt. But the Ducks' playmaker speed and overall team speed can be difficult to handle for opposing road defenses. The Buckeyes 4-6 to the spread as the road favorite. The Ducks 10-6 to the spread at home. Remember when the Ducks went into Ohio State back in 2021, it was their speed that gave Ohio State fits there. They did not know how to manage the speed of the Ducks. This is a fast turf in Oregon. Not only the offense, the defense, but the special team speed is another key ingredient for Oregon. Play here will be Oregon plus the 3.5. All right, Oregon State and Nevada college football picks Saturday. Oregon State now 4-1, a 39-31 home win at Colorado State. The Beavers gained 398 yards, 251 rushing for 5.3 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Rams to 439 yards, 263 passing on 30 attempts. Cavani McCoy, 16 of 28 passing for 147 yards with a pick. Nevada now 2-4, a 35-31 road defeat to San Jose State. The Wolfpack generated 416 yards, 190 rushing for 5.3 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 441 yards to the Spartans with 327 passing yards on 42 attempts. Brendan Lewis here, 22 of 30, 213 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. He rushed for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. Oregon State's a good running team, 5.5 yards a carry, but averages only 6.2 yards per pass attempt. Beavers are giving up 6 yards per rush and 6.7 yards per pass attempt. Nevada, good offensive team, running for 5 yards a carry, completing nearly 70% of their passes for 7.2 yards per pass attempt. They're holding teams at 4.5 yards a carry on the ground, 7.2 yards per pass attempt. But Lewis's mobility here a plus, as the Beavers have been really poor run stoppers. Oregon State 3-6 to the spread on the road against teams that average 5.9 yards per play or greater. Play here will be Nevada plus the 9. All right, next up, Vanderbilt and Kentucky college football pick Saturday. Vanderbilt improved to 3-2, a 40-35 home win to Alabama. The Commodores gained 418 yards, 166 rushing for 3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 294 yards at Crimson Tide, 310 passing on 24 attempts. Diego Pavia, 16-20 passing for 252 yards, 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 56 yards in the game. Kentucky now 3-2, a 20-17 road win at Ole Miss. The Wildcats put up 356 yards, 93 rushing for 2 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 353 yards to the Rebels, 261 passing on 27 attempts. Bryant Vandegrift, 18-28 passing for 243 yards with a touchdown. Vanderbilt is rushing for 4 yards a carry. They have an efficient passing game with 66% completion rate, 9.3 yards per pass attempt. The Commodores defend the run, but allow 7.6 yards per pass attempt. Kentucky struggles on the ground with 3.7 yards a carry. They have issues with their quarterback accuracy. On defense, they hold teams to just about 3 yards a carry, 63% completion rate, 7.8 yards per pass attempt. Vandy's been competitive with a 3-point loss at Missouri prior to their home win to Alabama. Kentucky 2-5 to the spread at home, facing good offensive teams that average 31 points per game or greater. Play here will be on Vanderbilt plus 13.5. All right, next up here, Iowa State and West Virginia college football pick Saturday. Iowa State now 5-0. A 43-21 home win to Baylor. The Cyclones gained 541 yards, 265 rushing for 5.9 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Bears to 337 yards, 79 rushing, 4 yards per rush. Rocco Beck here, 16-25 passes for 277 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. West Virginia now 3-2. A 38-14 road win at Oklahoma State. The Mountaineers put up 558 yards, 389 rushing for 6 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Cowboys to 227 yards, 36 rushing on 21 carries. Garrett Green here, 9-15 passing for 159 yards. He rushed for 86 yards and a touchdown. Iowa State, a good offensive team, rushing for 5.1 yards a carry, 66% completion rate, 8.8 yards per pass attempt. A good defensive team that limits foes to 4.2 yards a carry, 51% completions, 4.7 yards per pass attempt. West Virginia, also a good offensive team, running for 5.5 yards a carry, 8.3 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, the whole team to 3.8 yards a carry, 59% completion, but for nearly 9 yards per pass attempt. But this is a tough spot to play for the visitor here. Iowa State on the road has given up nearly 5.5 yards a carry on the ground. Play West Virginia here plus 3. All right, next up here, Marshall and Georgia Southern college football pick Saturday. Marshall now 3-2 after their 52-37 home win to App State. The Thundering Herd posted 367 yards, 236 rushing for 6 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 473 yards to the Mountaineers with 293 passing yards on 44 attempts. Braylon Braxton, 8-14 passing for 129 yards and 3 touchdowns. He rushed for 140 yards and 2 scores. Georgia Southern now 3-2. A 38-21 road win at Georgia State. The Eagles gained 498 yards, 261 rushing for 5.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 385 yards to the Panthers with 2 yards per rush. J.C. French, 24-39 passing for 237 yards with a touchdown. He rushed for 30 yards in the game. Marshall running for 5.5 yards a carry. They struggle with quarterback accuracy and efficiency. On defense, they hold opponents at 4.5 yards a carry with 6.5 yards per pass attempt. Georgia Southern rushes for only 3.7 yards a carry, 63% completions for 6.4 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, give up about over 6 yards a carry, 8.2 yards per pass attempt there. Eagles' stats are skewed by a road loss at Ole Miss and against Boise State at home, where they gave up 56 points. They are 9-5 their spread at home. Marshall has been crushed in both of their road games. Play here will be Georgia Southern here, plus 1.5. All right, Syracuse and NC State college football pick here for Saturday. All right, Syracuse now 4-1, a 44-41 road overtime win at UNLV. The Orange gained 492 yards, 137 rushing for 4.2 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 354 yards to the Rebels, 227 passing on 25 attempts. Common Core 40 of 63 passing for 355 yards with 3 touchdowns and an interception. NC State now 3-3, a 34-30 home defeat to Wake Forest. The Wolfpack put up 419 yards, 105 rushing for 4 yards a carry. Defensively, they gave up 315 yards to the Demon Deacons, only 154 passing on 32 attempts. Grayson McCall, doubtful with that concussion, man, took a serious hit to the head. C.J. Bailey went 28 of 42 passing for 272 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Syracuse has struggled on the ground, just 3.7 yards a carry. They are an efficient passing team, 64% completion, 7.6 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, they're giving up over 4.5 yards a carry, 66% completion rate, 6.5 yards per pass attempt. NC State rushing for about 4 yards a carry, running for and completing 66% of their passes, approaching 7 yards per pass attempt, giving up 5 yards per rush. Only 57% completion rate though in pass defense. This is a back-to-back road trip for the Orange. Syracuse 2-7 to the spread on the road against the ACC. They're 0-5 to the spread on the road after allowing 37 or greater points. Play here will be NC State plus the 3. All right, Minnesota and UCLA college football pick Saturday. Minnesota 3-3 after their 24-17 home win to USC. The Golden Gophers gained 362 yards, 193 rushing for 4.8 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 373 yards to the Trojans, 200 yards passing on 38 attempts. Max Brosmer here, 15 of 19 passing for 169 yards. He rushed for 14 yards and 3 touchdowns. UCLA fell to 1-4, a 27-11 road defeat at Penn State. The Bruins produced 260 yards, 93 rushing for 3.2 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 322 yards to the Lions, 85 rushing for 2.9 yards a carry. Ethan Garbers missed the game due to a leg injury, but is expected to play after practicing with the first team on Wednesday. He is completing 57% of his passes for 6.9 yards per pass attempt. Minnesota is a poor running team that averages 3.7 yards a carry. They are an efficient passing team that averages 67% completion rate with 7.3 yards per pass attempt. Minnesota is defending well, allowing 4 yards a carry and 4.6 yards per pass attempt. UCLA, poor offensive team as they rush for 2.7 yards a carry and complete 60% of their passes for 6.5 yards per attempt. They defend their run well, but give up 70% completions for 280 yards and 7.6 yards per pass attempt. UCLA has been blown out in their 2 home games, producing 13 points in each of them. The Golden Gophers' passing game could exploit this Bruins' weakness on defense. Play here in Minnesota -4. All right, up next, Kansas State and Colorado college football pick Saturday. Kansas State now 4-1, a 42-20 home win to Oklahoma State. That Wildcats gained 559 yards, 300 rushing for 8.8 yards per rush. On defense, they allowed 490 yards to the Cowboys, 364 passing on 50 attempts. Avery Johnson, 19 of 31 passes for 259 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick. He rushed for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. Colorado 4-1 after their 48-21 road win at UCF. The Buffs put up 418 yards, 128 rushing for 4.4 yards a carry. Defensively, they allowed 461 yards to the Knights, 284 passing on 35 attempts. Shedeur Sanders here, 28 of 35 passes for 290 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Kansas State, really good running team that averages 7 yards per rush. They complete 61% of their passes for 6.9 yards per pass attempt. Defensively, limit foes to 3 yards a carry, but giving up 244 yards passing for 7.7 yards per pass attempt. Colorado's running for 3 yards a carry, but they complete 69% of their passes, 8.2 yards per pass attempt, with 326 yards passing a game. Defense allowing 4 yards per carry, 7.4 yards per pass attempt. But the pass defense gets worse for Kansas State when they're on the road, where they allow 68% completion rate, nearly 10 yards per pass attempt. The Wildcats 1-5 to the spread as the road favorite. Play Colorado here plus the 3.5. All right, let's get you Boise State and Hawaii college football pick Saturday. Boise State now 4-1, a 62-30 home win to Utah State. The Broncos gained 599 yards, 296 rushing for 7 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 507 yards to the Aggies, 372 passing yards on 41 attempts. Maddox Madsen here, 21-25 passing for 256 yards with 3 touchdowns. Hawaii now 2-3, a 27-24 road defeat at San Diego State. The Warriors produced 356 yards, 84 rushing for 2.9 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 323 yards to the Aztecs with 99 rushing yards for 2.9 yards a carry. Braden Shager here, 26-44 passing for 272 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick. Boise State running for 8.4 yards a carry behind their Heisman Trophy candidate. They averaged 7.8 yards per pass attempt. On defense, they're allowing 3.4 yards per rush, but surrenders 66% completion rate for 8.2 yards per pass attempt. The team surrenders 403 yards a game. There is a huge drop-off defensively for the Broncos here away from home, as they gave up 37 at Oregon, 45 at Georgia Southern. Boise State 8-0 to the over dating to last season. Player will be Boise State and Hawaii over the 59.5. If you're looking for my best bets and my premium plays, be sure to click the link in the description. That'll take you to my that'll take you to my page at Tony'sPicks.com. For more free pick videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. And if you like our work here, give us a like, a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. I'm Tony T. We'll talk with you guys later.